Hello, I'm John Colley. I'm the 6-Minute Strategist. Welcome to part 4 of my video course for startups. And in this video, we're going to take a deeper dive and look at the core contents of the business plan. Now, I want you to remember through this that the core objective of this is to make sure that you are in command of all the facts and that you can answer all the questions that the investors are likely to want to put to you. In order to do this, we really have to make sure that we drill down into the detail and the minutiae of the business you're intending to set up. So there are 2 slides now which cover the core contents of this business plan. I'm going to take you to another level of depth. The notes as ever accompany this are downloadable from the web page, and so you've got the detailed notes of the areas I'm going to cover. But even then, I want you to remember that you can still dig deeper and go levels deeper than this again. But I'm trying to help to give you the framework and the structure that you need in order to do this. So let's get started and let's talk about the vision. You need to be able to communicate your vision for the business. We've talked about this before. The pain you're addressing, the problem the customers have got. And you need to be clear and be able to express in very concise terms where it is you want to take the business. When looking at the market, you need to explain the market opportunity for your business, how big it is, how fast it's growing, what stage it's at, whether it's early, mature, in a growth stage, and whether particularly you have the opportunity to be the market leader or number 2 or number 3 in the market, where you think you're going to be able to take and position your business as you go forward. You need to be able to explain your solution, product or service or whatever it is, and how it addresses your customer's pain, and then particularly, and we'll come on to this more than once, how you differentiate that from the competition. When looking at your customers, you need to be able to explain who your existing customers are, if you have any. If you don't, then who your target customers are. Have a clear idea and be able to identify and explain your ideal customer. Another important point related to customers is understanding who you're going to be dealing with, or who you do deal with in the customer. Do you deal at the CEO level? Do you deal with the CFO level? Or is your main contact of the business somewhere below the board? The key issue to this is finding out who writes the check in the business, and is he your main point of contact? Accompanying this with some customer case studies and examples is always a good thing. When looking at channels, you'll need to be able to explain your channels to market. How do you reach your customers? How much does it cost to acquire a customer? And another very useful metric is, what is the lifetime value of a customer? And obviously, you want a low cost to acquire a customer and a high lifetime value, and that makes your business that much more attractive. Finally, on this section, you need to talk about your sales process and how long your sales cycle takes. What's your sales and marketing and distribution strategy? And then be able to talk in some detail about your current sales pipeline. Moving on to the next slide, you'll need to talk about your management team. You'll need to introduce them and explain how their experience is relevant to the business you're intending to develop. It's helpful to be able to illustrate examples of where they've been funded before and where they've been successful. Investors like this a great deal. If you've got any gaps in your management team, then you should be able to explain where those gaps are and how you intend to fill them. When looking at your business model, it's very simple. How are you going to make money? You need to be able to describe your revenue model in detail, and we've talked about this before, about going down even to the unit price of an individual product or solution. Recurring revenue is another important area that investors particularly like, and it gives strength to the business. In another video, I'm going to talk about all the sorts of different business models you can actually develop. And finally, you need to be able to explain within the context of this what it is you need to do to get to profitability. When explaining the stage of the development of your business, this may depend on where the technology is, what the product's doing, where you've got with your team. Use your financials to describe this, how much revenue you're achieving, what your current monthly run rate is. Come up with some relevant metrics that are easy to explain and can be used then to demonstrate going forward the development of your business at different milestones going forward. Explain what progress you've made to date. That helps to give them confidence when you're talking about the things you're going to do in the future. You need to be very clear about your existing and future competitors. Who's close to you in the market who could come in and compete against you? What are their strengths and weaknesses, and how do you differentiate against them? Finally, you need to look at your partnerships. Who are your suppliers? Who are your distributors? Do you have technology partners? And do you have any dependence on these people? Under the sort of heading of other, there are things that you need to think about and be able to explain, like what are the key assumptions behind your business plan that are going to make it successful, but equally that investors may decide to challenge. What risks and threats do you face? What disruptive changes in the marketplace or legal changes or regulatory changes could derail your plan? Be aware of what your weaknesses are. So now we move on to the fundraising itself, and this has to be built into the business plan itself, and you have to be able to explain it. And the first area they're going to want to have some idea of is what you've done in the past in terms of fundraising, who you've raised money from, how much you've raised, and what sort of valuations you've raised at. This is relevant to the current fundraise in terms of explaining, are any of your existing investors following their money? How does this valuation compare to the valuation in the last round? And indeed, obviously, how much money you're trying to raise. You'll need to explain how you intend to use this money, and this comes down to having a very carefully prepared financial plan, and we'll cover that in the next video in this course. But under that heading, you need to explain to the investors your detailed budgets and exactly what this money is going to be put to do. This then ties into what is called the runway, which is how long is the money going to last? How many months will this take you forward? And then allied to that, what milestones are you going to achieve in that time? Will it get you to cash break even? These sorts of things. They'll want to know how far developed your business is going to be when this funding runs out, and whether you're obviously going to need an additional funding round, or maybe even two. Under investor fit, this is a two-way street. You want to explain to them why you think they are a good fit for you, but you should also be asking them what they can bring to the party to help you, whether it's lots of experience in your sector, some very good contacts that might help you develop your business. And you also, under synergies, need to be thinking about whether they've got any portfolio companies already that they own that or they've invested in that may have synergies with your business, and you may be able to mutually benefit one another. The flip side to that coin is you need to make sure there's nothing in their investor portfolio that might be in conflict with what you're trying to do. So that's the next level of deep dive into the core contents of the business plan. In the next video, we're going to look in some detail at the financial plan and getting that right. So thank you for joining me in this part of the course, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.